A new study paints a very disturbing picture from Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, where a significant number of young women turn mothers before they are 19. What does it mean? That they are married, I think, even before they turn 18, which is the age to get married. The Work and Family Lives, Young Lives survey reveals this troubling trend. The findings, nearly 13% of 22-year-old women surveyed were married before the legal age of 18. Even more alarming, 17.9% had a child before they turned 19. Now, one of the main factors which leads to this trend is the mother's level of education. 31.4% of women whose mothers had no formal education were married and had children by 22. That number drops drastically to just 3.8% for women whose mothers had at least 10 years of schooling. Lack of education echoes across generations in these two Telugu-speaking states. The report also highlights the role of economic vulnerability. Women from the poorest households were far more likely to marry young and have children early. This is a pan-Indian, of course, reality, but we are today talking about Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. The study now compares two age groups, the younger cohort, which is now age 22, and the older cohort, now age 29. Despite a 7-year gap between the two groups, little has changed. Most young people surveyed were in poor quality jobs, no contracts, long hours, and little protection. Other factors which added to this trend were as follows on your screens right now. Among scheduled castes, just 4.2% had job contracts. Among the general category respondents, the figure was still only 10.7%. This report also shines a light on the widening gender gap in the workforce. At age 22, only 30% of women were employed compared to 66% of men. Women were also burdened with nearly 6 hours a day of unpaid care work, more than double the time spent by men. Even at 15, 24% of girls were already working, rising to 42% by age 18 and then stalling, especially post-pandemic. Early marriages, teenage motherhoods, poor jobs and unpaid labor, these are the realities shaping young ones in both Andhra and Telangana. In the battle against poverty and patriarchy, education is not just a tool, it is a weapon. The question is, can we, will we ever wield it? I have two guests, Cynthia Stephen, who's a social activist, and also Brinda Adige, who's a women rights activist. Thanks both of you for joining us. I mean, what an alarming story, and I was shocked by it, and I'm shocked by it because both the chief ministers, whether it is Chandrababu Naidu or Revanth Reddy, regularly speak about empowering women. Now, child marriages, both of you must know, even UNICEF did a report. So far as Andhra is concerned, it is really glaring. I want to come to both of you turn by turn. First up, Brinda Adige. Brinda, there is a law in place in this country, the last I heard. What happens to that law? All these marriages, some of the NGOs who work there, they say, these are done at homes, these marriages, without the knowledge of local authorities. So how do you expect anyone to stop them from happening? Brinda Adige, and look what it is doing for women across Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Brinda.
Yes. Like you pointed out, Sudha, happening in the lower economic strata, but we must understand that it also happens in middle class and upper economic strata groups of people. The first thing is we know that no matter which religion the marriage is happening, there has to be somebody either from the temple or the mosque or the church. These are the three main religions that we have the priests or the Maulvi or the temple pujari. So why isn't any onus placed on these people? Because the Child Marriage Act is very, very clear. Anybody, any of these people, it could even be the person who is renting out a hall, who is also called to serve food, cook and serve food. So the Child Marriage Act has put down a lot of these stipulations, but it also has a lot of lacunae. Who must report a child marriage complaint? Should it be the DCPO? Should it be a public? Because when we talk of public, many of us would not want to be complainants, especially when they are our neighbors, our relatives, or somebody that we know, including NGOs, because I know from personal experience that they will retaliate on the person who has made the complaint. So the Child Marriage Act has to stipulate who should be the complainant, which is very vague. Police cannot take suo moto action unless and until there's a complaint. That is what the police say. So all of these are a lot of gray areas. But everything said and done, the report also makes a statement that if children are in school till the age of 10, till class 10 and then up to class 12, then probably these marriages could be reduced. But again, we come back to this entire patriarchy, sexism, and misogyny. Why are early marriages conducted? Because often parents want to save the chastity, virginity, and the character of the girl. Who will marry her if she becomes friendly with somebody, if she elopes, or if she goes away somewhere, or it is into another caste? That is a big concern. So all of this is something that we must
Right.
consider when we are talking about child marriages in
Yeah,
India.
all right. Cynthia, let me bring you in here. Cynthia, I know what Brinda was talking about. I understand the social milieu, actually, all of us women do, where we come from. I understand that there are poor quality jobs, long working hours, lack of education of a girl child whose mother is getting her married for fear that this is the chance, then I will never get a chance, like marriage is the ultimate thing. But their societal milieu, so I've spoken to a lot of them, that's how it happens. Cynthia Steven, for me, it's the failure of the local administration. It is the failure of the chief ministers who go on and on. They give free bus rides to women. They will give them saris. They will give them Grah Shakti, Grah Shobha, everything, cylinder, everything. But ultimately, when it comes to amalgamating them as the very, very powerful workforce, I think both the chief ministers are failing. Cynthia Steven, your comments on that?
Yes. See, the kind of work a woman does is also related to the quality of education she receives.
Go ahead, Cynthia. I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. No, because there was an incoming call.
No problem.
So it depends on the education she receives. What kind of jobs will a girl with an 8th standard education get? So the idea is to retain, in Karnataka at least, we have been part of a situation where the retention of the girl in school for 18 years, till class 12, was seen as a strategy for preventing child marriage. And in that context, if the child is attending a school of some kind, either a school or she's in a hostel or she's in a high school, then uh, she goes to school regularly and people know that she's going to school. And if she's not attending a school for anything other than 3 days and then she's not sick, then her classmates are encouraged to go and visit and find out what's going on. And if that is the case, that there is a marriage being organized, and the parents or the school authorities are counseled, it happens. So this we have found as part of an
I
option
don't
in the
think Andhra
Mahila.
Pradesh or Telangana is even succeeding, gone to that stage, and that is what is very worrisome. You're talking about a system in place, no, Cynthia? There is no system. Brinda Digay, doesn't it really worry you that if this carries on, it is carrying on for generations now? The younger cohorts who's 22 and the older cohorts which are 29, if they are in this vicious cycle, their daughters who are growing up will also fall into the same trap. Don't you agree? Brinda, unmute please.
Knowing that there are no state mechanisms to ensure that a child is in school and ensure that the child does not get married off is the responsibility of the state and its various departments. Though I pointed out all of those community challenges that are there, the state is completely accountable to ensure that safety and security of the child and to also ensure awareness and education. So panchayats, there are stipulated duties for the panchayat development officer and the elected representatives when we talk of rural areas, and we are talking of urban areas for migrant laborers or even other domestic workers or people from marginalized sections. There has to be this awareness that is sent out to all of them to see that their children are not married off. And if there is any such case that comes even to a helpline, we have seen that the police nor the helpline authorities take immediate or swift action. That said, the
The
state
big
has
problem.
failed to extend that confidence that there can be something that can be done to ensure children don't get married off. And if children are getting married off, children are, minors are getting pregnant, then they come all the way to the hospital. The question here is how many hospital authorities actually report to any other authority?
Full point.
Less
Very
than
good point.
2%.
Yes. Very good point made by Brinda Edige that whether it is the Molvi or the priest or anyone else who's officiating a marriage, plus when a woman comes to give birth at a hospital, how many complaints are made? None. That is the whole thing, or else it could have stopped. Cynthia, I always prided myself as a South Indian because our social indices are so much better. But don't you think this particularly puts us in a spot, these statistics from Telangana and Andhra Pradesh? Cynthia.
100%, 100%. And I think, therefore, there is no room for complacency. And I think also, just as the government gets very concerned about pass percentages of children in school, when the results come out, everybody talks about why the pass percentages are so bad and this and that. But we also find that the girls are always doing better than the boys at all times. But why is it not the same way percentages monitored by the education department of girls who are being retained and those who drop out? I think unless the school system follows through carefully, it's very difficult. Maulvis and priests and all, though they are duty bound to report, often become part of the problem by breaking the law themselves. And so it's very important for us to, the logical place where a child is found with the authorities are concerned is in school, minors, because of the compulsory primary education and so on. So it is important for us to motivate the parents and the schools and the local authorities, social workers, Anganwadi workers, health workers, who are at the ground level, the grassroots level government staff, to be the ones who are going to, report these matters.
All right.
There should be there has to be a more systematic way. This social acceptance of marrying off girls early as an option it has to stop. It has to stop.
It is against the
I
law.
remember in Tamil Nadu there was a huge.
All right.
There used to be this statement on the back of buses saying, "This is the age legal age of marriage for girls." I think that licked the problem, because when the message keeps flashing
but the
on
point
public,
is that, a lot of them can't even read, even if there is a message, although it's a good idea. I would only say, before I let you go, Brinda and Cynthia, that both the chief ministers need to take cognizance. These are chief ministers
Absolutely.
who are ruling over a very young population, and I think that they are more cognizant of the fact than the old timers. I think both Chandrababu Naidu as well as Revant Reddy need to wake up to this fact that both the states have women who are becoming mothers at the age of 19, which means they are getting married much before they are 18. Thank you both for joining us on this broadcast and looking for a solution to this terrible, terrible problem in both Andhra Pradesh and Telangana.